The Sonos S2 controller app together with the new Sonos S2 platform was launched on the 8th of June earlier this year. That was more than 3 months ago. And today we have a new version. It was launched on the 29th of September, so 3 months, about 3 weeks past the first launch. This is version 12.1. We've had a few revisions from 12.01 to 12.02 to 12.06 at the last revision. Today we have 12.1. Let's see what it brings to us. So the question is, what is the biggest feature set? Now, how Sonos does its release updates is that when it is an X.X.1 upgrade, a minor revision, it is quite a bug fix. They don't really introduce new features. So for example, 12.0.1 to 12.0.2 to 12.0.3, all these are small incremental updates which fixes bugs. No new features that are relaunched. For new features that Sonos introduces, it introduces in a .1 update. So 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, these will be major releases. Sonos usually won't be publishing the change logs or release notes for the X.X.1 releases, but today they did release the 12.1 release logs. So let's take a look at what that brings to us. So as usual, I try to give you all the answers up front. If you have time to stay on, you stay on and listen to the rest of the video. Otherwise, these are the 4 main changes. So I've listed the first 2 up here. The first is a new way to add speakers and to pair speakers and to put speakers into surround sound modes. Now this is important for new users. It does make the process a little bit easier. The second major update is actually that of enabling 5 GHz band Wi-Fi on some of the speakers, the Sonos One, the Sonos One SL, the 5s and the Sub Gen 3. Now this is strange because I never thought that they actually have the 5 GHz band radio within themselves, but it seems that a software update is able to make use of that. So the hardware was always inside, it's just that the software has not caught up with it yet. Now the third and the fourth additional features, it's not really important to me. I don't think it's very big feature as well. There's the outage reporting of streaming services. So if any of your streaming services like Pandora or Spotify or Tidal is going to be down, it actually says, and I don't know how it comes out. I'm not going to be waiting around for a streaming service provider to go down before I can show you the screenshot. But well, it does report in some way to show you that the streaming service is down. I don't know why you need that, because if it is down, you will know it. And the last one being that it is now able to support Alexa routines. Previously, it's not that it can't support, it supports and it does execute the routine. It's just that it keeps saying that it cannot be run or it cannot be found. So more like a bug fix more than anything else. It was running and executing the Alexa routines. But this time, the support is official. So if you have some time to carry on watching this video, I will dive in a little bit more detail into how all these features are showing up. Actually, I will only go into the first 2 features. The feature on the streaming outage and the Alexa routines, I won't be going through. Okay, I see that you're still around. So for software updates from Sonos, there are usually 2 components. The first component is the S2 controller app itself. So when they say that this is a 12.1 update, you have to check that and you make sure that from the App Store or the Google Play Store, your Sonos S2 controller app is at version 12.1. If it is not, you will have to update the software version on your respective App Store to 12.1. So after you update it to 12.1, you got to then launch the S2 controller app, go inside and check whether you need to update the firmware of all the Sonos speakers that you have connected to your account. Now you might be able to see, I'm going to show you some of the screenshots and some of the video captures. If you are updated on the app and there are some tiles that are going to be showing up and they're grayed out, it means that your firmware has not been updated to 12.1. It should automatically prompt you to update the moment you tap one of those grayed out tiles. Otherwise, just go to System and do your update. Now the updating process is going to take a while. I'm just going to speed through this quite quickly so that you won't have to go through the whole boring thing. So once that is done, there you have it. Your software version of the S2 controller app as well as your speaker firmware version should be both at 12.1. You can go inside your system and you can do a check to verify that the firmware is indeed at 12.1 as shown here. Okay, so the first big feature, the new way of adding speakers to the network. Now, actually, it's not that the old way was broken, it's just that the new way is a lot more intuitive and it is actually a lot friendlier when you are trying to set it up. Now, let me explain why in more details. Okay, so you will be able to see all these tiles, and the tiles that were grayed out before now will be accessible. Now if you click the tiles, for example, you want to True Play, the Play trees, you click on it, it will launch True Play right away and straight away. You don't even have to go inside to select the speakers and then select True Play. It is all pretty easy. Now the next thing I tried to do was, I went into the Play trees, I have them in stereo pair, so I unpaired them, I broke up the stereo pair. And if you look at the pictures and the graphics, it's actually even quite intuitive and quite easy to break up the stereo pair. Now, once I did that, I wanted to join them back again. This is where it gets interesting. When I tried to join them back, the system used to prompt me, to ask me which is the left pair, and I'm supposed to be able to press the button so that I indicate that this is the left pair. But the great part today is how they are doing it is they are actually playing a tone, right? So you have two stereo speakers, and they will play a tone through either the left or the right speaker, and on the software itself you will then indicate where is the sound coming from. If it's on the left, you click the left. If it's on the right, you click the right, and then it will pair it up automatically and tell you into the left and the right speaker respectively. Now, why is this important? Sometimes the speaker is out of reach. Sometimes the speakers are mounted quite high on top. Sometimes the speaker, like in the case of the Sonos 5, the connect button is at the back. So if you don't want to have to physically walk to the speaker, then having this functionality is actually pretty intuitive and pretty smart thing to do. You don't have to climb up, you don't have to climb behind, you don't have to move the speaker around, you don't have to even lift your butt and walk to the speaker. Very smart. Good job, Sonos. So the next thing I did was to try out the new functionality of adding new speakers. Sonos says that they have come up with a new way of adding speakers in version 12.1. So I had to test it out. I tried it out on both speakers. This Play 3 is a speaker from 9 years ago. Very, very old. So does it have the hardware, or is it even equipped to do the new addition of speakers? Let's find out. And what I have here is the newest Sonos 5. This was launched 3 months ago in June 2020. So of course, this has the BLE, the Bluetooth Low Energy, which helps in faster pairing. So let's go through the process and try to see where the differences are and how this guy is able to keep up with new advances and this new process of adding speakers. So what I did was I reset the speakers. So the speakers are completely new. They are in factory stock condition, right? So when I turn it on and I enter S2 app, it automatically detects that there's a Play 3. And the picture comes out, even is correct for the Play 3. And it's in black, and it knows that it's in black. Well, there are actually model differences and hardware differences, which they have coded into the speaker for the black and white, so they will show the correct picture. What is interesting is I'm wondering about the Hey Special Edition. If it is a different color like the red or the yellow or the green, whether it actually comes out, that will be quite interesting. I have sold my Sonos Hey Yellow speaker. If not, I could have tried it out, but let's see if I can get my hands on another soon. And this is where the difference is going to be, right? It asks whether you want to join a temporary network. So it is setting up a temporary network, which is animating from the Play trees itself. So when you click yes, it will allow you to join, and then it will start transferring the credentials. You don't have to key in the network password. You don't have to key in the Wi-Fi password, SSID password, whatever you call it. It will automatically detect and send it over. The difference now is that from the stereo pairing process is that you actually have to click a physical button here. Now, why do you have to click a physical button? Because when you buy a new speaker, you don't want someone else, like your neighbor who's in range, to be able to add that, right? So having to click the physical button is actually a security measure. Now you do it once, and the next time you want to break the pair or you join the pair, you never have to walk to the speaker to press the button anymore. So you ask you where you want to put the Play 3, and you select a room for it, or you create a new room for it. Now, then it will come to the next point. And the next point is, actually I have another Play 3, right? And it's ready for a stereo pair. So when I click through that and it asks me whether I want to add the new Play 3, I add it. The whole process repeats itself, but then it comes an extra step. It asks whether you would like to use the Play trees, which is in the same room as a stereo pair. And all you have to do is to click yes. And then it follows the whole feature set of asking you which speaker is the sound coming from. And you hear if it's on the left or it's on the right, you just click. And that's all, that's done. You don't have to walk to the speaker to press a button to indicate that this is the left speaker. In the previous version, what you have to do was you have to click to indicate that that's the left speaker. And if your left speaker is in a place where it's inaccessible, good luck to you. Now, all you have to do is to listen out to where the sound is coming from, select that as a speaker. It seems to be random whether it's selecting from the left or the right, but I don't know. I've tried it twice. In fact, I tried it a couple of times, and it seems to jump from left to right at random. So I repeated the whole adding process. I factory reset the Sonos 5 as well, both of them, so they are no longer a pair, and they will come as though they are new speakers. So when I did the whole process, I powered it up again. It actually detected, hey, okay, there is a new setup. And because it has a BLE radio inside, a Bluetooth low energy radio inside, it actually doesn't have to go through the whole process of setting up a wireless network. It is actually using BLE to transfer the information and to detect its proximity. So once that is sent over to this guy, the whole setup is then seamless and it will follow the whole process like the whole play tree. So if you ask me, the difference in experience is just that one extra step of this guy having to set up a temporary wireless network for the transfer of credentials. After the whole process is done, it will add the other Sonos 5s, and when the other Sonos 5s is placed in the same room, it will ask you whether you want to set it up as a stereo pair, and then you are done. Again, very, very simple. So this new method of connecting speakers, this new method of pairing into stereo or pairing as surround speakers is actually pretty intuitive. It is a very good move. It makes the whole process a little bit friendlier, a little bit more streamlined, and the graphics looks great. It actually feels like one of those, it actually feels like the graphics for the AirPods Pro or when you're using a W1 chip. It looks good. It is modern. I like it. Thank you, Sonos. So this is important to new users. It helps new users get into the Sonos ecosystem and welcome to the family. But if you are an existing user and you're not going to be adding new speakers that often, you're not going to be breaking up your stereo pair or moving it around unless you're doing things like me where I have to keep doing it to show you things, then that feature set is not really important, right? So the next most important feature set that I'm going to talk about is that of the 5 GHz Wi-Fi network. Now, strangely, it extends to the Sonos One, the Sonos One SL, the 5s, and the Sub-Gen 3. But missing from the list is the Sonos Arc, which was launched on the same day as this Sonos 5 and the Sub-Gen 3, which I wonder why. And the Sonos One, the Sonos One SL, this were launched 2 years ago. If 2 years ago, they already had a hardware inside, why is it that the Sonos Arc is not included? So my guess is that maybe it is just that the software is not caught up yet. Maybe by 12.1.1, it will extend to the Beam, to the Arc, to a couple more others. I have unofficial reports that the Sonos Move is actually connecting at 5 GHz. I don't have the Sonos Move with me, so if you have the Sonos Move and can confirm that it is connecting at 5 GHz, do leave a comment in the video comment section below and share. Now, what I had to do to get the Sonos 5 on the 5 GHz network, which I'm going to show you here. Yeah, so you see my Sonos Arc is not on the 5 GHz network. The Sonos 5s are both on the 5 GHz network. So I had to do the reset, and once it's reset and it's connected, it goes to the 5 GHz network for the Sonos 5 speakers right away. So what is important is that, does this 5 GHz do anything for existing users? Now, I've always thought that maybe we should have 5 GHz because we don't want to keep the 2.4 GHz network around. 2.4 GHz has the advantage of a longer, more reliable range, but the speed is limited. Now, the thing is, to stream music, to stream this kind of fidelity that is required for sound and audio, you don't actually need a lot of speed, you don't need high bandwidth. But the funny thing was, the older speakers, in fact, even the Sonos 5 and the Sonos Arc, before 12.1, they were connecting at only 54 Mbps, which is pretty disgraceful if you ask me. But even when this guy is connecting at 5 GHz, it makes you feel good, it makes you think that it's performing better, but is it necessarily better? So I pull out my Unify again and I take a look at it. Actually, the connection speed is about 130 Mbps. The transmit speed is 6 Mbps. It's not the best. And mind you, my access point is about 3 feet from the speaker. So is it really that useful? I'm not sure. So what happened before is that I used to have some problems when I'm trying to play to all 13 Sonos devices. I have 2 subs, I have 2 sound bars, I have two of these speakers. I have two of the 5s. I have the IKEA Symphonics bookshelf speakers. I have another amp. Well, quite a few. Okay, so you get an idea. 13 pieces of Sonos equipment. When I try to play songs everywhere, throughout all zones, it stutters quite a bit. So sometimes this pair of speakers doesn't come up, that pair of speakers doesn't come up. And when you try to pause a song or stop a song, some of the speakers will continue playing for a few seconds until it decides to catch up. So the synchronization is not perfect. Now, one very big tip that I have for all you guys out there is that if you have a choice, put a Sonos boost. But the Sonos boost costs money. So if you don't want to do that, all you need to do is to plug any of your Sonos speakers, including the sub or the soundbar, or even this, or even the cheap $99 IKEA Symphonics bookshelf. Plug in the LAN cable, connect it to your router. It will set up its own Sonos net to communicate with all the devices. And that network is far superior and much more stable than anything that you can run with. Now, bear in mind, I'm running a Ubiquiti Unify network. It is rock solid. I can show you my test speed. On a bad day, this is the result I'm getting. On a good day, this is the kind of result I'm getting. And I actually have another separate network, secondary network that is connected. It's running the same SSID, and that is on the Wi-Fi 6 network. For now, I won't tell you what model I'm running yet, but on a good day, this is the kind of speed I'm getting. So my network, my Wi-Fi network at home is rock solid. So technically, it shouldn't have any of these problems. The latency, I know, is great. But the Sonos net, for some reason, even if it is capped at 54 megabits per second, it is still offering a very smooth connection. So again, if you have any problems with your Sonos connectivity, connect just one of your speakers into the LAN port. It should solve your problem, unless you have a lot of speakers. So the last thing I'm going to bring up today is the point on the Sonos Sub Gen 3 being on a 5 GHz network. Now the strange thing is, you can't actually set up a Sonos Sub on its own. It needs to be slaved to something else. So in a lot of cases, it's slaved to either the Beam or the Play Bar or the Play Bass or even the newest ARC. But none of these soundbars actually support the 5 GHz bandwidth at this moment. So if they are not on the 5 GHz bandwidth, the connection between the sub, what connection is there? There's no connection. In fact, I'll go as far to say that when you set up rear surround speakers and a subwoofer to the soundbar, effectively it is creating its own network. The sub and the surround speakers doesn't even come up on your Wi-Fi. So it has already created its own network where it will communicate with itself. So why is there a need for the Sonos Sub Gen 3 to be on 5 GHz? I have no idea. Maybe if you were to put the Sonos Sub with this guy, they are all on the 5 GHz network, the sound is faster. I don't know. I've always wanted 5 GHz, but it's really more for vanity purposes. I now learned that 5 GHz is not really necessary. In fact, 5 GHz range is even shorter than 2.4 GHz range. But it's good because what if 2.4 GHz is no longer going to be supported? What if 2.4 GHz is going to be very, very crowded? In fact, it is being very, very crowded. A lot of IoT devices around the house. I've run the cameras, I've run the power plugs, I've run a lot of things. They are all on the 2.4 GHz network. So moving to the 5 GHz network, if you don't have the option of plugging in the speakers to a LAN port, then maybe the 5 GHz will make quite a bit of sense. So regardless, even if it doesn't help matters at this point, it is a good move for future proofing. Again, thank you, Sonos. So I've come to the end of today's video. I think these two features, both the new pairing method as well as the 5 GHz network for Sonos speakers, is a good move. Thank you very much. We hope to see that these features get extended to more speakers. The first feature of adding new speakers and pairing for stereo has already been supported on one of the oldest speaker on the S2 platform, which is Sonos Play 3. So very good job there. But for the 5 GHz network, I think, the ARC should have 5 GHz capability. So roll it out to all the speakers that have that capability and let us enjoy the network. If you have found this video helpful, please remember to leave a like. If you have any questions, drop a comment in the comment section below. And if you are not yet subscribed, I do encourage you to subscribe to this channel and join my small little community talking about wireless audio product, especially Sonos products. And if you are feeling especially generous at the beginning of the month, I am leaving a Patreon account QR code which you can scan. And once you scan, it will take you to my Patreon account page. You can make a small contribution towards my coffee fund to support me in this channel. Let's enjoy the new Sonos S2 12.1. I'll see you in my next video.